All right, good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? In the back too? All right. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, I know this is kind of a attention grabber, right? Secrets of the hearing aid industry. But there are some secrets that I would like to talk to you about that are very important when looking at hearing aids, especially for someone that knows nothing about them. And then we're going to talk about some follow-up care that is required to keep the hearing aids working in good working order. By the way, I will be taking questions as we go. So if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand and you will get the mic so that we can all hear you. Okay, let's play a game. True or false? All providers carry the same hearing aids and technology. False, very good. That was easy. So not all clinics carry the same hearing aid brands or technology. In fact, some clinics only carry one or two brands. So this is a recent excerpt from Consumer Reports done in 2022 that states our hearing aid brand ratings cover 16 companies: Audibel, Beltone, Bernafon, Kirkland, Lucid, Miracle Ear, Oticon, Philips, Phonak, and you can read the rest there, okay? Does anyone notice anything about this list of brands? Anything weird? No. There's a prize. There's a prize for someone that can figure it out. No? So, we're going to go through here. The brands that they're rating are, in fact, some of them are private label hearing aids. Okay? So that includes Audibel, Beltone, Kirkland, Miracle Ear, and True Hearing. What do I mean by that?
Made by somebody else.
Right. So let's look at an example. We're going to look at the Miracle Ear Energy iRic R, which is a very long, fancy name. Okay, we have that. And we're going to look at the Signia Stiletto Ric. Notice any difference there? It's the same. Okay, what's the difference? Nothing. Okay, so Miracle Ear is one of those companies that uses private label hearing aids. So what they're using is actually a Signia product, taking the hearing aid and putting their name on it. Did anyone know that? So this is what I'm talking about when we needing to know some of the secrets of the hearing aid industry, because most people don't. And Miracle Ear is not the only one that does this. Most of the time they are going to charge more for their hearing aid and tell you that they have proprietary technology inside of the hearing aid that no one else has. That's one of the biggest lies in the hearing aid industry. Okay? Let's look at another one. New Sound. Does anyone have any hearing aids from New Sound in here? No? Anyone have any from Miracle Ear? No? Well, good. Okay, we're going to look at the New Sound Arc AI and the Starkey Evolve AI. Notice any difference? Nope. No difference at all. So New Sound, private label Starkey products. Okay, which they will generally charge more for. Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. Before I go on, does anyone have any questions so far? No. So here are some major hearing aid manufacturers. This might be something for another talk, but we'll break it down. The Signia, Phonak, Unitron, Redux, Rexton, Oticon, Resound, Philips, and Starkey. Some of these brands actually make other brands. So Signia and Rexton are the same parent company. Phonak and Unitron are the same have the same parent company. Redux is now owned by Signia. Oticon makes Philips hearing aids. Resound, so on and so forth. Okay. I can get into that in another talk. But there's usually going to be somewhat of a price difference, sometimes not, which is something you want to be aware of. Okay, so this is very important here. there are manufacturers that do own hearing aid clinics, and you've probably seen them in Georgetown. So let's go ahead and take a look at some manufacturer-owned hearing clinics. Connect Hearing, anyone heard of that one? Anyone have hearing aids from Connect Hearing? Connect Hearing is owned by the Sonova company, which produces Phonak and Unitron hearing aids. So it is a corporate-owned hearing clinic. Beltone, anyone have Beltone hearing aids? No. So that is owned by Resound, or GN Resound. New Sound is owned by Starkey. Anyone have New Sound hearing aids? No? Miracle Ear is not owned by Signia, or WS Audiology as they're now called, but it is a franchise that uses mainly the Signia products as a private label. Hearing Aid Express, any Hearing Aid Express owners? Okay. So Hearing Aid Express is a little bit unique. I do know a little bit about them. They have a huge contract with Resound. And so they're going to fit mainly Resound hearing aids or push those Resound hearing aids. Lucid is its own company, so they do have their proprietary technology, and that is what you'll find in Sam's Club. And then the Kirkland brand, which does change from year to year, or can change from year to year. So I believe the 8.0, which was 2 generations back, was a Rexton product, or used to be a Rexton product. The 10.0 is going to be a Phonak product. Okay, so that's another private labeled product there. Any questions so far?
So that's Costco?
That's going to be Costco, yes.
So they change from year to year?
They can change from year to year. So when Phonak came out with their Marvel technology, they switched from the Rexton product to the Phonak product and have stayed with that for 2 or 3 years now. So right now that it is a Phonak product. They still offer some Rexton products. They'll offer Philips, and then they'll offer some older Phonak products as well that aren't private labeled. Any other questions so far?
So going from an 8 to a 10 is supposedly a better.
Yes, so the 8.0 is going to be a Rexton product, and it's not going to be the most current technology. Okay. So that's going to be about 2 generations old now. Why is this important to know? So to find the best solution, you must find a clinic that provides more than one option, okay? I can say this from experience. I do have experience working with Miracle Ear, with Sam's Club or Lucid, to make the sale, whether it be on purpose or whether the fitter or audiologist really thinks this, they're going to say that we have the best technology out there, okay? Number one, they don't want to lose the sale. They don't want you to go elsewhere. And number 2, they really do train you to believe that. So when I was with Miracle Ear, it was always, we have proprietary technology that no one else has. For someone that's just coming into the hearing aid industry, that's easy to believe because you don't really know anything else. A manufacturer-owned clinic will always push their brand first and will usually charge more for that product. So someone like Beltone, someone like Connect Hearing is always going to push their products. In those cases, they really aren't going to offer anything else either. Okay. Any questions about that? So you're going, with those clinics, you're going to a one manufacturer. And so even if there is a product out there that may be better for you, they may not say, hey, you need to go down the street to them and get hearing aids from them because it's a better product for you. It's just very rare that that's going to happen. Any questions about any of that before we move on? Yes, sir.
On the T-coil, can that be built into existing, say a Phonak hearing aid with another chip, or can that be built in on an existing headset, or do you have to upgrade to get the T-coil?
So you do have to get the device at purchase with the T-coil inside of it. The T-coil, most manufacturers today will provide an option for the T-coil, even in rechargeability. What I've found with a couple of manufacturers, when they do put a T-coil inside the device, they also put a bigger battery inside of the device. So I mainly fit over-the-ear devices with T-coil because it has a longer battery life as well. You don't have to use the T-coil at that moment, but at least it's there for any kind of future use, because at that point, 2 years down the road, if you did purchase a non-T-coil device, you can't switch back to a T-coil device. It's a whole separate pair. Okay. Any other questions?
Do they have TQ in rechargeables?
Yes. So there are several manufacturers that offer the T-coil in rechargeable devices. That's going to be Signia product, their augmented experience, Starkey, their Evolve AI, the phone app Paradise is going to have the T-coil inside of it, and the Resound One as well. Philips may have some. Right now, Redux does not. I may be missing some, but that's about a fair list there.
How do you control TQ in your unit?
So it's going to be by either switching programs with the button on the back, or on the phone app, you can switch to a T-coil program. Yes, ma'am.
Does the phone app Paradise always have the T-coil, or do you have to order it special?
You do have to specify that you want T-coil if your provider does not talk about it at first. Especially with the Phonak and Unitron devices, the T-coil device is going to come with a bigger battery with a longer battery life. So I would suggest the size difference is very minimal with those rechargeable devices.
I have a Redux rechargeable, which does have T-coil.
The Moment, Redux Moment.
No, I think it's Evolve.
So the Evolve is a Starkey product.
It's white, I have a lot of it.
Redux. As far as I know, the Redux Moment does not offer T-coil just yet.
If I'd like to add to that, at one time, and I also bought a Redux, they were able to change the lid out and make it
Okay,
rechargeable.
yeah, so here's the difference. So there are older hearing aids that used to be rechargeable with a little disposable rechargeable battery that you could take out. So the rechargeable hearing aids I'm talking about are the lithium-ion batteries that are built into the hearing aids now that you cannot take out. So it may be rechargeable Redux, but that's not the rechargeable I'm talking about. It's a kind of newer rechargeability with newer technology inside of it.
I was just going to say that I also have the Redux that is rechargeable.
Yeah, so a little bit older product.
About 2 years,
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, so the newer Moment product, which is their newest technology, they haven't released that new technology with a T-coil option and rechargeability just yet. But the older products, you could put it on a little stand. Now the batteries are less reliable, but they did offer those T-coil in those devices.
I have found the batteries to be very reliable.
Good. You're one of the few that gets that good charge out of those batteries.
Question.
Yes, sir.
How do you haven't mentioned anything about Bluetooth yet.
Mhm.
I'm wondering how that associates with everything else here.
Yes.
Just to help my understanding.
So Bluetooth is coming standard in most of the hearing devices. Really, the only hearing devices that don't have Bluetooth compatibility are going to be your very, very small devices, usually a CIC, although Starkey came out with a new CIC that does have Bluetooth compatibility. But most of them are going to come with Bluetooth compatibility to the phone. They're all going to be a little bit different, and that might be a discussion for another time.
So I guess all the interest in T-coil, which everybody's talking about, doesn't seem to really affect me with my Bluetooth.
Right, so Bluetooth and T-coil are separate. Yeah, T-coil, you have to be in a loop system, which is a physical loop. Bluetooth is gonna allow you to connect to your phone for phone calls or iPad or things like that. Yes, sir.
Okay, talking again about the T-coil.
Mhm.
They're talking about putting a bigger battery for the T-coil
Mhm.
and the T-coil chip, I would guess.
Right.
Possibly some kind of other kind of receiver, speaker or whatever. I assume that that's gotta be in a behind the ear rather than in the ear type unit.
Yes.
It's gotta be a bigger, it's more.
Right.
Behind the ear.
Yeah. So all of the T-coil, all of the hearing aid devices that have T-coil inside of it are going to be a behind the ear product or a RIC product receiver in the canal. Any other questions for me? All right. Okay, so we're just going to talk about some new technology. So these have become a lot more popular recently, which is in the ear products. They've become more popular because of the rechargeability factor, okay? So years ago, this rechargeability factor was not available for in-the-ear devices, and now they are. So they are becoming a little bit more popular, not having to change the battery. So this is one of the newest rechargeable devices, which is going to be the Starkey Evolve AI. It is going to be rechargeable and available in ITE full shell, ITE, or half shell. Half shell is going to be the smallest. From what I know now, the Starkey is going to make the smallest rechargeable in-the-ear product. Some of the features that it has are going to be an integrated fall detection that will call certain members of your family, emergency contacts, and then dial 911 if you still don't respond. It is going to have language translation for certain languages, in-ear reminders that you can set up in the app, and then integrated steps and activity tracking as well. Okay. Yes, sir.
I'll just talk louder. The, in the ear unit, okay, this unit. All right, I'm thinking of, what control I have right now. I can narrow it down where you're coming in loud and clear. And, anything behind me is dulled out a little bit, okay? It's got through your cell phone. Okay, now, I assume that's stuck in your ear. You don't have that feature on this unit, do you, where you can control the direction of a voice coming in?
So on the in-the-ear devices, it's set up very differently than the behind-the-ear devices. With the behind-the-ear devices, you have a microphone on the back of the hearing aid that will pick up sounds from the back, and then front-facing microphones as well. So the directionality of the behind-the-ear devices tends to be a little bit better than the in-the-ear devices. The in-the-ear devices are still going to have two microphones, so you can still control the directionality of in-the-ear devices, but it's not going to be as good because you don't have, both microphones are in your ear, and so the directionality is limited.
Do you have control through your cell phone on that?
You do. You do. All right, and then the only other prescription fit hearing aid, rechargeable in the ear, is going to be the Signia AX. So that's going to be their newest platform here. The most important part, I know it doesn't have the same nice features as the Starkey here. The main feature that it's going to have are dual processing chips in each device. So they are the first device to have dual processing chips in each hearing aid. So what does that mean? One chip is going to be solely processing background noise, and the other chip is going to be solely processing speech, which is a first. The quality that you get with the background noise being separated from the speech with each chip is going to be quite different than any hearing aid out there. Okay. This also, just because there are two chips in each hearing aid, it does bring the channels of processing up to 96 channels, which is going to be above the industry standard as well. This is going to feature contactless charging. So you can see the pins on the Starkey where it does connect with the charger. This is going to have a contactless charging, which means you just put it in the hole and it starts charging. The other thing I like about the Signia, it does have an AI assistant in the app. And so through the AI assistant, you are able to ask it to make changes for you. Those changes are going to reprogram the hearing aids right then and there on the spot, depending on what you need. So instead of going to your provider, you can ask the AI assistant will ask you a couple of questions. What's the problem? Your own voice, other voices, environmental sounds. It'll take you through a couple of more questions and apply that adjustment right then and there from the app itself. And then it is going to feature about 30 hours of battery life. Any hours of battery life, it can change depending on Bluetooth usage. Any questions about that? Yes, sir.
Wax traps, I don't see anything.
Wax traps. So they're going to be on the other side, on the part that goes inside of the ear.
I'm sorry, did I say wax?
Wax traps. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
Can you, I don't understand if it's rechargeable, why do you need a battery? I don't understand.
So all of the rechargeable hearing aids have batteries inside of them, lithium-ion batteries, that are going to be able to be recharged.
Gotcha. So when you say the 30 hours of battery life, that's after you charge it. You don't have to
That's after you
replace
charge
the
it.
battery.
Right,
Thank
right. So the rechargeables are very, very good. They have a very short charging time, typically about 4 to 5 hours to get a full charge. 30-minute charge is going to typically give it about 7 hours of battery life. Yes, ma'am.
3 years ago, I got state-of-the-art phonak in-ear hearing aids. And although I like them very much as far as using them, they just weren't strong enough, and I had to go to behind the ear this year. And I'm wondering, is there any other brand that makes it even stronger in the ear that might be workable for people who are severely deaf?
So all of these rechargeable in the ears or even non-rechargeable in the ears, the more severe the hearing loss, the bigger speaker or receiver they'll have to put inside of the hearing aid. And so typically this will come down to the professional that's fitting you. So the professional that's fitting you should know that where your hearing loss is and where it might be in the next couple of years. That's kind of what you have to take into account when getting a custom in-the-ear device, is that the speaker usually cannot be replaced once it's purchased, okay? That's why I do prefer behind the ears, just because that speaker can be replaced in the office to a more powerful speaker as your hearing loss continues to go down. So this is going to be another rechargeable in-the-ear device. This is not a custom fit device, so this is exactly how it comes here. The only customizable option is going to be the sleeve. That can be changed for either vented or closed, and then different sizes are available as well. The case itself is going to have a battery inside of it, so it's going to be very portable, and it's going to be able to charge the hearing aids up to 3 times before you need to plug that charger back in. It is an instant fit device, meaning there are no molds that need to be taken. It does have Bluetooth compatibility also to Apple devices. It uses generic sleeves, portable, and it's going to have the AI assistant as well. Yes, sir.
You said that that'll have a battery inside of it, correct?
This will have a battery inside of the hearing aids themselves, and then the charging case as well.
Oh, you recharge that battery through your computer with a USB connection?
So you can, while you're at home, I suggest keeping the charger plugged in so that it's always charged.
Okay.
And then you just put the hearing aids in at nighttime.
To use the AI assistant, you have to have a smartphone?
So to use the AI assistant, do you have to have a smartphone? Yes. So the app that is compatible with the hearing aids, it does need to be downloaded and usually requires a smartphone to download it. Although if you have a tablet at home, iPad or something like that, that can also work to download the app and then use to control the hearing aids as well. Any other questions here? Yes, ma'am. So this is going to be only Bluetooth, made for iPhone Bluetooth. The AX is now compatible with some Android devices. There is a list of compatibility, and then all Apple devices. The same thing is going to be said for the Starkey, which is going to be compatible to some Android devices and Apple products. That's going to be using the ASHA protocol, which is a low energy type of Bluetooth. So older Androids are probably not going to be compatible with either of these devices here. Here are some newer RIC products or behind-the-ear products. So this was just recently released here, the Oticon Zircon. What a weird name. So this is going to be based off of Oticon's More platform. This was released just recently. It only comes in lower technology levels. So you have the More 1, which is the highest, the More 2, which is a little bit lower technology, and the More 3, which is the lowest. Zircon is going to be even below that. So it gives the user who is looking for more budget-friendly option a little bit lower technology, but still based off of that very good More platform. And then this was released late last year, the Signia Augmented Experience platform. So just like that in-the-ear device, this is going to have dual processing chips in each device, one to process background noise and one to process speech separately. Also with the over-the-ear device, you also are going to get own voice processing. So the own voice processing is a test that we run in the office. You're going to count from 21 up, and the hearing aids are going to analyze your voice. And anytime it senses your voice, it's going to lower it, so you get less occlusion effect. And that is proprietary to Signia here. So far, we've seen this is the best in-class background noise reduction. Any questions about either of those?
Can you connect prices while we sit here?
Sure.
Prices, please.
Yeah. So the 3 level is going to start at $3,800 for the pair. The 5 level is going to be at $4,800, and then the 7 level is going to be at $6,500 for the pair. If you do have trade-ins, you can usually get credit up to $1,000 for that. The Zircon I have not been sent pricing on. Oticon tends to have the highest prices of any manufacturer except for Starkey products. So those are going to be a little bit higher prices. I'm hoping that they truly did lower the prices of the Zircon from the Moors, because what they're charging for the Moors is, in my opinion, very ridiculous.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What do they do with the trade-ins?
So I actually keep them. So I have tons of traded-in devices. Some of them are 1 year old, some of them are 2 years old, some of them are 3 years old. If you are looking for something, a little bit newer technology, but not the newest, I even have rechargeable devices. Those will usually go for $1,200 for a pair. Some of them we have for $995 a pair. They're going to be one generation behind that someone traded in.
There is a market for it.
Yes, yeah, and those are going to be the lower price point hearing aids. And then we also have some newer hearing aids that's going to be at the basic technology level for $995 for the pair. Any other questions on that? Okay, so a lot of people in here already wear hearing aids, correct? So this is going to be about follow-up care, which is going to be the most important thing that you'll need to know for keeping your hearing aids working well for you. And it's ensuring that you're hearing at your best. So what's recommended, this is probably one of the most important ones, probably number 2, is regular cleanings. Who here has hearing aids that does not get regular cleanings from their provider? Good, everyone does. So about 3 to 4 months is recommended. At this cleaning appointment, usually at my clinic and the clinics that I've worked at, we're going to replace the little tips if you do have a behind-the-ear device. We're going to replace the wax filters behind that tip. We're going to vacuum out the microphones and then do a listening check to make sure that they are working okay. We'll even put them in our professional dryer, the Redux, to make sure that there is no moisture inside of it. If you are not getting your hearing aids cleaned in this increment, call your provider and set this up, because if you notice that your hearing loss has changed or you're not hearing as well with your hearing aids, this is probably why. Here. I would say 90% of the problems that I see in the clinic with people not being able to hear well with their hearing aids is because of a wax problem. Either wax gets behind the dome and clogs it up, or it clogs up the filter underneath it. There's a small hole in which all the sound comes out of in the hearing aid. If that hole is clogged with earwax, you will hear nothing out of it. So that's why this is important. Annual testing. Does everyone get tested once a year, hearing test once a year? Good. And hearing aid reprogramming. So annual testing is very important. Your hearing loss typically will change in a couple of frequencies, if not all frequencies, during the course of a year. So it's very important to get once you have hearing aids, to get tested annually, and then have your provider not only test, but reprogram your hearing aids according to that newest test. Okay. That's going to make sure that the hearing aids are working for you long term. You don't want a hearing aid that's based off of a 3-year-old audiogram. That's not your hearing loss now. Okay. Because we are getting a little bit more sophisticated with the hearing aids, there are a lot more hearing aid software updates that can only be done in the provider's office. So for example, most of the hearing aid manufacturers are now adding certain features to their existing products. So if you have purchased a product here in the past year, 6 months, there probably is a software update available or becoming available. So one of those software update examples is going to be hands-free calling that most everyone is adding to it. That only gets added to your hearing aids if your provider updates the hearing aid software in their office. Otherwise, you will not have access to those updates. There are also other updates like improved battery life, improved Bluetooth stability. So when you go into your provider's office, ask if there are any updates to your hearing aids. Typically, the provider will only know that if they hook up your hearing aids to their computer. Any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
Are there like maintenance agreements or something? I mean, once you buy your hearing aid, or when you buy your hearing aid, all this stuff is included for life?
So are there maintenance agreements for the hearing aids once you purchase? That depends on the office. Typically, most people will work off the model of when you purchase, you get aftercare for either the lifetime or for a certain period of time. That's something you want to know when you're purchasing the hearing aids on the purchase agreements, okay? If not, some offices will charge just small fees for the appointment or for the upgrade or things like that. And we have a question.
You said the hands-off calling, that's streaming?
So the hands-free calling is going to be a streaming feature. So right now that is included with the Phonak and Unitron products. They do have hands-free calling. What do I mean by hands-free calling? The Phonak and Unitron products use the microphone on top of the hearing aid to relay your voice back to your phone. So for example, you could leave your phone in one room, and as long as you're within Bluetooth distance, the person on the phone will still be able to hear you because it's using the microphone on top of the hearing aid. So that's what most of the other manufacturers are adding to their products as a software update.
Yeah, I wonder, I have that streaming, but it's in the other room and it'll ring in my ears.
Right.
I'll go and grab it. If I talk 15, 20 feet away, does it pick up that way?
It should. So it should work to the Bluetooth distance, which is typically going to be 30 feet away.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, with Bluetooth.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. And then because we live in Texas, if you do go outside in the summer, you do want to make sure minimum once a year, please go to a professional drying service and put your hearing aids in a dryer. Right now, we are one of 2 offices that carry the Redux product, which is the only professional drying service for hearing aids. It will run until 100% of the moisture is out of the hearing aids, and it'll actually measure it, how much moisture has been taken out of the hearing aids. It not only gets sweat out or water if you get into the shower, it'll also take out any kind of skin oil that has gotten on the hearing aid, which typically will have skin oil build up on the microphones over time. And then in-house ear cleaning, so you want to make sure that you're getting your ears looked at, typically probably at least twice a year to make sure you don't have any earwax buildup that is going to prevent you from hearing well. And that's an example of our Redux dryer here.
Okay, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Do you have that equipment that you can see in the monitor, and you get in there and clean out the excess wax, if that ever has to be done? I went through that once, and I thought that was pretty neat. You can see them pick out, they always leave some in, because that's protection for the ear. Do you have that equipment?
We have a flushing machine, so it's called the Oto set, which has just been released. It's just a headset that we put over. It will flush out the ears and then suction all whatever is in your ear, including the water that it pushed in as
How
well.
new is that?
I'm sorry?
How new is that?
So they just released that last year. It is only a professional device. So it's not that they're working on consumer devices. I'm excited for that because then you can take it home and just flush yourself. You can do it more regularly is what I meant to say. Okay, so cleaning appointments. What you should expect. So you should expect the wax filters underneath to be replaced. The hearing aid domes need to be replaced about every 3 or 4 months. After that, they start to break down quite a bit and they can become loose. Cleaning of the microphones is very important, especially for those that wear over-the-ear hearing aids. They get clogged so fast with skin oil and dead skin. If one side of the microphone hole is clogged, you're not getting input into that microphone. You're only getting half input. If both are clogged, you're not getting any input. So that's the other component. And then you want them to do a hearing check. So this is something that I was trained on, not only just cleaning the hearing aids and say, okay, here they're clean, is have your professional actually listen to them and make sure that it is actually working well. Oh, regular hearings keep your hearing aids working better for longer. If you don't think you need them, think again. Plus, you've more than likely paid for those services already purchasing the hearing aids. So you want to take advantage of that as much as possible. Okay. Most hearing clinics that I know will not have a limit on how many cleanings that you have. Okay, so annual testing. A new test every year ensures that your devices are programmed for your most current hearing loss. If you have difficulties with hearing with your devices and haven't had a hearing test in the past year, it's time for a new test. Okay. Don't let your provider just clean the hearing aids or make programming changes. If the provider is still making adjustments to your hearing devices based on a 2-year-old test, it's time for a new test. Okay, so they're just being lazy at this point. Okay, they don't want to take the time to do a new test. But at 2 years, if you're still needing adjustments and you haven't had one, ask for a new test. Your current hearing aids should keep working for you as long as they are up to date on their programming, which means having that annual test as well. And then some things about repair service. Most hearing aids will come with a 1 to 3 year warranty, typically a 3-year warranty. That will depend on the technology level. All repair services are covered for the length of the warranty at no additional cost to you, and is valid at any clinic with a manufacturer account that you purchase from. Okay. That means you can go anywhere that deals with that brand of product, no matter what state or what country. They'll be able to send it in for a repair. You want to remember the date in which your hearing aid expires. That's very important because you don't want to wait till the last minute to send your hearing aids in for repair if it does need it, even if it's minor, such as replacing the outer part of the hearing aid. Okay, you don't want that warranty to expire and you need repairs done to that hearing aid. For the rechargeable hearing aids, that's very important because the manufacturers recommend that you send the hearing aids in before the manufacturer warranty expires to replace those lithium-ion batteries. So you'll get that done for free if you send them in within the manufacturer warranty period. Adjustments. So this is something that I hear sometimes in my office. Sorry to bother you again, but I need another adjustment to my hearing aids. Okay. You paid for it. Use it. It doesn't matter if you come in every day. If you come in every day, then there's another problem we need to talk about. But you're entitled to that. Okay. You paid for it. Use it. For any environment in which you do not do well, let your provider know you need an adjustment. Take note of the exact situation and what exactly you need to be different. So if you come into my office and say, hey, I'm not hearing well, can you adjust my hearing aids? We're gonna have a follow-up list of questions because what I can do in the software to adjust that hearing aid, there are thousands of things that I can do. The more that we pinpoint the situation that you're in that you're having difficulty with and exactly what you're having difficulty with gives me a better sense of what I need to adjust. So while you're in that situation, take note of it. Just remember that situation and what you're having difficulty with. Communication is key. We don't know if you're having trouble unless you tell us. Okay? So if your provider schedules you for a 3-month follow-up after your appointment, and let's say a month later you're having difficulties, do not wait another 2 months to get adjustments or help from your provider. Call them right away. Okay? If you don't tell them you need help, they won't know. Last, again, you're not a burden. At most clinics, your purchase price includes the services. It is literally our job to make the hearing aids work for you, no matter how many adjustments or repairs or fixes that it takes. Okay. Any questions about any of that so far? Yes, ma'am.
We have people here in Sun City that have moved here but bought their hearing aids in another city or even state, and they can't go back there. So, do you handle those people that have bought them somewhere else?
Yes, so the thing that makes us unique, we are independent. So we carry every major hearing aid manufacturer, which means that we can make repairs for most manufacturers. We can reprogram them. We do work with them. The thing is, when you purchase from a hearing aid clinic, if you're going from one clinic to a different clinic in a different state, your aftercare services may not transfer from one clinic to the other. Okay. So there are certain fees that most clinics will charge for a new patient if they weren't part of that group in the other state, but repair services are still covered. So you shouldn't have to pay for the repair itself if it is in warranty. What you may pay for is the appointment itself. Yes, ma'am.
Melvin?
I'm sorry.
I didn't quite understand when you were saying about don't, let the warranty period go by, because you want to be sure to send it in for them to replace the lithium battery.
Right, so most of the newer hearing aid products that are rechargeable has a built-in battery that you cannot access. And the battery life of those lithium-ion batteries has improved to about 5 to 6 years at 100% capacity. If you send it in for replacement at year 3 before your warranty period expires, then you're getting essentially another 4 or 5 years at no cost to you.
but you have to have that type of a hearing aid. with-
Right. Right. Unless your provider made some agreement to provide you those batteries that are replaceable during your warranty period.
How long is it typically between when you send it in and you return it from the manufacturer?
So typically it takes about a week to a week and a half to get that. There are a couple of brands that have launched some rapid exchange services that I use. Signia is one of them, where if you need a repair to the hearing aid, instead of waiting for that repair, they'll send out a brand new device, and the provider just sends in your old one. So it's essentially just a swap of hearing aids. And that gets it a lot faster because I can have it within 2 days. Oh, we didn't go with this. Okay, so here are some very important things. Who's looking at purchasing? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have loaners for people when they have to send them off?
I have more loaners than I can count of hearing aids, okay? So when I send in a repair, you're going to get a loaner. I understand that some people cannot hear without their hearing aids. You will get a loaner. I can't promise you it's gonna be the same one. 90% of the time it is, but I will fit you with a loaner hearing aid so that you can hear while that repair is out. Who is planning on purchasing hearing aids or is looking at hearing aids here in the near future? Good. Okay, so this is important. You want to ensure you try the hearing aids before you purchase. Crazy idea, right? There are a few exceptions of custom devices. You cannot try those. Those have to be made for your ears. The thing about that is you will get, as we'll talk about in a little bit, a 30-day trial period in which you can return or exchange for anything else. The 30-day trial period is a state law. It is not something that is, something that some people offer. You are entitled to a 30-day trial period, okay? The thing about the 30-day trial period, you want to make sure when you are signing your contract for the hearing aids, you want to look at this restocking fee. Make sure that the restocking fee is not outrageous. We don't charge any fees for restocking. Our process is we have you demo the hearing aids before you even think about purchasing, okay? I have a 2% return rate, 1 person in 1 year. The reason being, I fit people with hearing aids before they purchase so that they know for sure that's what they want. So when they're fit and they start their 30-day trial period, they're usually not going to return because they've already tried it. Some clinics, and I've heard some horror stories, have charged upwards of $700 to $1,000 just to return the hearing aids. That's not right, okay? Make sure you look at that. You should pay either nothing or within this level, $20 to $30, which is just gonna cover the provider shipping the hearing aids back to the manufacturer. If you do exchange your hearing aids within that trial period, you are entitled, and do get fit with new hearing aids, you're entitled for that 30-day trial period to start over once you are fit with those new hearing aids. Okay, so that 30-day trial period does not continue with the new hearing aids, it starts completely over. Any questions about any of that? All right. Okay, choosing a provider. This is important too. Hearing aids are small computers with advanced technology, now more than ever. Hearing aid reprogramming or programming is a science. It takes quite a bit to learn, and it takes quite a bit to learn each manufacturer as well, because each manufacturer's software is very different. Their processing is going to be different from brand to brand. This should go without saying, but make sure that your provider is technologically savvy, okay? One example, I was doing a training for one of the new ear scanning devices, which basically eliminates the need for a mold to be done, that traditional gummy stuff inside of your ear, where you can just scan with lasers. So there were a little bit older audiologists there, and they just wouldn't work because they wouldn't work with it because it was a computer device, and they wanted to stick with what they already knew. The thing about it is the newer technology is usually going to be more accurate and a little bit better. So you want to make sure that your provider is technologically savvy and up to date with all of the trainings that for the hearing aids that they fit. A provider who does not do well with technology is a provider that will not offer you the best hearing aid programming, regardless of their credentials. Okay. So just imagine if you met someone that was selling computers at Best Buy, but they knew very little about computers. Not great, right? And ensure that your provider has up-to-date diagnostic equipment. This is very important, not only for testing your hearing, programming your hearing, but also other factors, for scanning ears, for drying the hearing aids, things like that. Purchasing hearing aids is only half of the equation. The most important half is ensuring your provider can program them correctly. So you can purchase a pair of hearing aids, probably on Amazon, things like that. It is completely useless to you and will not be working at its best unless your provider knows what they're doing in programming those hearing aids. Okay, we can take general questions here. I do have in the back, there are hearing aid manufacturer maps. This is a web, so this will detail what big companies own what smaller companies and how they're all connected. Okay, so that's available for you to take back there. Yes, ma'am.
Have you had any feedback?
Just 1 minute, hold on.
Hold on one second.
Hi.
Close the
Have you had any feedback yet from veterans that have been referred to you, if they have, from the new program of contracting out?
So I haven't been contracting with the VA, but my services for the VA are at no cost for any aftercare services. So what I do at my clinic, if they need either a new hearing test or hearing cleanings or things like that, we're doing this because it usually is taking months to get into the VA, either in Austin or was it Temple? Which if you're having a problem and you cannot hear, that's way too long to wait. So.
My father was referred to someone who used that molding
The
in
3D scan?
his ear, and I went, oh, I wonder,
Oh,
yeah, if that was,
yeah.
is what, but yeah, but he, and I wondered then about the qualification of that person who was using molding when you said that.
Yeah, so the ear scan is very cool. We have one in our office. We're one of the few to have it in Austin. It does provide more accurate scans of it, and it's usually a quicker turnaround time. So I've scanned someone's ear and gotten a custom hearing aid back in a week or shorter. The thing is, some of the manufacturers don't accept those files just yet. So if we have a manufacturer that doesn't accept our scanned files, then we will have to do a manual impression, but that's not us, that's the hearing aid manufacturer. Yes, ma'am. Let's wait for the microphone here.
Are all hearing tests about the same between different offices?
So, the portable audiometry, I would say stay away from as much as possible. Portable audiometry. So if you have someone that comes to your house to do your hearing test, or you have someone that does it outside in the hallway, please go have it done somewhere in a booth with good equipment. My equipment is required to be calibrated once a year, and that ensures that it's the most accurate. From office to office, now we are going to use different machines out there, and so there can be slight differences I've found, but usually those differences are not anything significant.
You only need really one hearing test.
Right, so the first hearing test before the fitting, and then you want another one done 1 year later. Any other questions? By the way, those online hearing tests are not very accurate. Just goes without saying. Question back there?
Can you give a quick comparison of behind the ear and the custom fitted ones, pros and cons?
The pros and cons have shortened. The big con used to be that you had to replace those batteries depending on how small they were. So the very smallest ones replace it every 4 to 5 days, you know. And then the in the ears used to not have Bluetooth, but now they are rechargeable to have Bluetooth. The only thing is I prefer to fit over the ear if you have more difficulty in noisy situations. Because of the placement of the microphones on a behind the ear device, they are a little bit better at reducing background noise and being more directionally focused. The in the ear can be focused, but it's using the pin effect, and the hearing aids are in one spot, so they're not directional in and of themselves. Yes, ma'am. Here's the microphone here.
I just wanted to comment on that. My in-the-ear hearing aids that I got 3 years ago, I thought they worked fine until the restrictions on COVID started loosening up, and I went to a large party, and I couldn't hear anybody saying anything. It was really, really bad that I didn't even know it because I spent most of my time alone for 2 years.
Here's a very, very important thing about hearing aids. With each manufacturer, they will have a level of technology, okay? And those are gonna be the differences in the prices of those hearing aids. So you can get like I said, we have a pair for $9.95. It is prescription fit to your hearing loss, but it's not gonna have as much technology inside of it to be directional or to reduce more background noise. The higher you go up in technology, you're gonna have more directionality, more background noise reduction. I would say it matters what environments you are in, how complex those environments are, and how bad your hearing loss is. Those are all factors in recommending a level of technology, which is then recommending a price point. So if you have a provider that right off the bat says you need the very best, leave. You know, number one, you haven't gotten to try those hearing aids, so you really don't know. What I recommend is starting at a little bit lower technology, demoing it for a week without purchasing. If that works for you, great, you can go with those, or you can come back and try a higher level of technology and see what the difference is. I really hate fielding the question of what is the difference between a level 5 and a level 7. I can tell you all the technical details about what's different. It doesn't matter at all to you because you're the one wearing the hearing aids. So the difference, you're going to come back and tell me what the difference is between level 5 and level 7 after you've demoed those hearing aids. And then we'll make our recommendations based on that.
My hearing aids are out of warranty about a year, and I probably am ready to have that test done and the cleaning done and all of that. What would be a reasonable fee to pay for that service?
So it's going to vary from clinic to clinic. Number one, you'll have to find a clinic that does service your, or you can go back to your provider as well. We charge a $150 fee for the year. That's going to include an unlimited amount of appointments within that year. And it's also going to include your hearing test and reprogramming.
Mine are Redux.
Yes.
Okay, so you would cover that.
Yes, ma'am. Any other hearing question, pricing questions? Any other questions that you usually don't get from providers? I'll answer them all, I promise.
Well, thank you. We're a little over time, but every minute has been great.